But it ain't. It's your boy Rude Dog. Check this out, man. Yo, I got some details in the Jay-Z break case with it. You know what I mean? My fault. It's been a minute. You know, I had some things I had to get straight. You know what I'm saying? I had some, some things I had to get right. But other than that, though, this is an adult channel. Adult things do happen. Adult things do go on. Adult language will be expressed right here. So now let's go ahead and get on off into it. This is the Jay-Z rape case with Diddy. So let's go ahead and check this out, y'all. Y'all need to really get a piece of this shit right here, man, because this homeboy is really tripping. But anyways, so let's go ahead and get it in one time for it, y'all. Let's go ahead and make it happen.
And in his latest move, the acclaimed rapper is now saying the case is just too old to even stand. And we got our hands on the response from Tony Buzbee as he stands behind his client's seemingly inconsistent story. We're going to recap the top shocking updates in the case against Jay-Z. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Elizabeth Milner, in for Jesse Weber. This is a Law and Crime legal alert. Did you know that children are being diagnosed with serious conditions like type 2 diabetes and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease? And research is potentially leaking ultra-processed foods to these outcomes. Well, Morgan & Morgan is stepping in to fight to hold food companies accountable. With decades of experience fighting large corporations, they're ready to stand up for families who deserve justice. If your child under 21 has been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes or fatty liver disease, visit www.forthepeople.com/food to learn more. Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z's high-powered attorneys, are going all in to get the rape lawsuit against him tossed out, as they are now claiming the decades-old allegations just don't hold up under the law. Jay-Z's lawyer is arguing that the case, which accuses him of raping a 13-year-old girl alongside Sean Diddy Combs at a VMA after-party in 2000, is just too old to proceed. That's just the tip of the iceberg. With the inconsistencies surfacing in the accuser's story and Jay-Z's team fiercely pushing to have the entire lawsuit dismissed, the drama just keeps escalating. And just recently, a judge ruled that Jane Doe can remain anonymous, but for now. We're going to take a look at this latest legal filing in just a sec. But before we get into that, I just want to give you some quick background. Just last month, Jay-Z was named in a shocking civil lawsuit accusing him of sexually assaulting a 13-year-old girl in 2000. The lawsuit, filed by Texas attorney Tony Buzbee on behalf of a woman known only as Jane Doe, claims that the assault happened at an after-party for the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards. According to the suit, Jane Doe, who was trying to get into the award show, met a limo driver who worked for Sean Diddy Combs outside the award show. The driver allegedly told her she fit what Diddy was looking for and invited her to an after party. Once at the party, she claimed she was offered a drink that made her feel woozy.
Now, don't this story sound the same of almost every other person that Diddy has messed with? Think about it. This story mainly does sound the same of all the people he have really messed with. Because sit there and think about it. Almost every story starts off with, you get to the party, take the drink, shit happens, you know what I mean?
And lightheaded, so she needed to lie down and went into a room to rest. She alleges shortly after, Combs and Carter came into the room, with Combs allegedly saying, "You are ready to party." She claims Carter removed her clothes and held her down and raped her while Combs and an unnamed female celebrity watched. That female celebrity is only known in the suit as Celebrity B, and
I'm not saying nothing, but Celebrity B, don't they kind of see like Beyonce?
it's still unclear who that female celebrity is at this time. Now, Combs has long been the subject of multiple sexual misconduct lawsuits, which he has denied all the allegations made against him and has pleaded not guilty to the federal charges he still faces. Initially, when the suit was first filed, Carter's name wasn't attached, only referring to him as Celebrity A, but he since vehemently denied the allegation made against him. In Jay-Z's response, he had said that before the lawsuit was officially filed, Tony Buzbee, who is Jane Doe's attorney, had approached Jay-Z's team with a demand for a significant sum of money in exchange for not filing the lawsuit. In a statement posted to his Roc Nation social media account, Jay-Z said, quote, "My lawyer received a blackmail attempt called a demand letter from a lawyer named Tony Buzbee. What he had calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. No, sir, it had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you one red penny. These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? These alleged victims would deserve real justice if that were the case. This lawyer, who I have done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these types of theatrics. I have no idea how you have come to be such a deplorable human, Mr. Busby, but I promise you, I have seen your kind many times over. I am more than prepared to deal with your type. Busby, however, denied that he was trying to extort Jay-Z, stating that he was engaging in a common pre-litigation practice where a lawyer sends a letter to resolve a case in an attempt to avoid a lawsuit. Despite this, the two have been embroiled in a heated legal back and forth. Jay-Z's legal team has now filed new court papers seeking to have the case dismissed on the grounds that Jane Doe's claims are essentially outdated. Alex Spiro, lead counsel for Jay-Z, wrote a letter to the judge letting the court know he plans to file a motion to dismiss. The letter states, quote, "We write on behalf of defendant Sean Carter to inform the court that Mr. Carter seeks to file a motion to dismiss the..."
Now, see, at the same time, Jay-Z is fighting to get this motherfucking case dismissed at the same damn time. So you really got to sit there and think about it, man. Though Jay-Z really don't want this case to even show water. But he's saying, from the notes that I done took, he's sitting there saying, up under the GMV Act, you know what I'm saying, that he should be able to get this motherfucking case put out. But the shit started, but the case been committed 3 months before the GMV Act got put in place, so the GMV Act can't even be accessed on this case. I'm just saying. I'm no lawyer, but I did some looking up. I ain't no lawyer, but I did some looking up, and to me, he shouldn't even the motherfucker even say that GMV Act. He shouldn't even put that in there. Because it did happen 3 months before the motherfucking case. It did happen 3 months before the GMV Act became a law in New York. I did look that up. It did happen before the GMV law became in effect. So I don't even see why he even said that. But I ain't no lawyer, though.
First amended complaint, also known as the FAC. On December 19th, Mr. Carter sent a letter to plaintiffs setting forth the basis for the motion and advising that Mr. Carter would file this pre-motion letter if plaintiff chose to stand on her FAC. Plaintiff was required but failed to respond to Mr. Carter's letter within 5 business days. By December 27th, Mr. Carter interprets plaintiff's silence as confirmation that she will stand on the FAC as pled. Accordingly, Mr. Carter submits this pre-motion letter concerning his anticipated motion to dismiss. Spiro's main argument is that the rape accusation should not be able to move forward due to issues with the statute of limitations and the applicability of New York's Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Act, also known as GMVA.
Yes, that's that GMVA Act that he's trying to get on this shit. But I'm sitting here saying the same thing that the other lawyer's saying, that he shouldn't even have said that, the GMV Act. He shouldn't even have said that at all. Because the GMV Act don't even apply to this case, so he shouldn't even have said that. But
pre-motion letter filed on Monday, Spiro argues that the GMVA cannot apply to this case because it went into effect in December of 2000, and that this alleged assault took place in September, 3 months before that. He wrote that the GMVA cannot apply retroactively to create a cause of action unavailable to plaintiff at the time in question. A contrary conclusion would violate both state and federal due to process protections. Spiro.
See, and I ain't even see this shit. I was just going off the notes that I took about the GMVA Act. So, yeah, I even knew firsthand that this shit can't apply to this.
Referenced a previous case in which a federal judge in the Southern District of New York dismissed a lawsuit from Jeanne Bellino, a former child model who accused Aerosmith's Steven Tyler of assault in the 1970s. That claim was rejected because the judge ruled the GMVA's revival window could not be applied to events that occurred before the law was enacted. Now, Spiro also raised another important legal concern in his filing. The GMVA, passed by the New York City Council, only applies to acts of violence that occur within the boundaries of New York City. Spiro writes, according to the FAC, meaning First Amended Complaint, plaintiff was driven from Radio City Music Hall to a large white residence with a gated U-shaped driveway, a drive that took 20 minutes. This is where the alleged assault took place. The FAC's description of the residence in question, however, combined with public records, confirms that any such residence, to the extent it existed at the time, would have been located outside the territorial boundaries of New York City. As such, assuming the well-pled factual allegations are true, they are not, they cannot plausibly state a claim for relief.
So, in other words, just because the crime didn't happen in New York, they cannot apply the GMVA Act. Okay.
Now, on New Year's Eve, Tony Buzbee filed his own letter to the judge, stating defendants' argument as to the GMVA is unpersuasive as it is contrary to the law's primary intention to make it easier for victims of gender-motivated violence to seek civil remedies in court, not as defendant would have it, make it harder. Buzbee cites the Supreme Court's decision that struck down the federal right to action under the Violence Against Women Act. But our nation's highest court said that even though the federal government didn't have the authority to act, local governments could. So New York City passed the GMVA. He also cited testimony that was given in support of GMVA. In summary, there is no timeline on processing trauma. Buzbee ended the letter by requesting the court deny the defendant's request to file a motion to dismiss. This latest legal challenge to Jane Doe's filing is one of many responses Jay-Z's team has made to combat these accusations. Another recent motion they filed demanded that Jane Doe be forced to reveal her true identity. That filing stemmed from inconsistencies that emerged in Jane Doe's story when she gave an interview to NBC. She actually admitted in a follow-up interview that she may have made some mistakes in her recollection of events, and here are some of the apparent mistakes she made. Jane Doe said after the alleged rapes, she was able to run away from the residence and found a gas station where she called her dad to come pick her up. But her father told NBC that he didn't remember that and that it would have been a 5-hour drive to pick her up. He also told NBC he didn't even know this alleged attack happened until he was approached by reporters. Jane Doe also claims she spoke to Benji Madden at the after party. That is, of course, the lead guitarist for the band Good Charlotte. But his representatives told NBC that he wasn't even in the area at the time. Good Charlotte was actually on tour. So Jay-Z's team specifically pointed out contradictions regarding the timeline and location of the alleged events in a letter to the judge, calling Jane Doe's allegations a sham. She claims the assault took place at an after party at Mr. Combs' home, but photos that night show Mr. Combs and Mr. Carter at Lotus nightclub for the after party. When pressed, the plaintiff admitted she was guessing about key details, including the time it took to reach the venue. She admits she has no single corroborating witness over the last 24 years. Jay-Z also told NBC in a statement, this incident didn't happen, and yet he filed it in court and doubled down in the press. True justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory. This was over before it began. This 1-800 lawyer doesn't realize it yet, but soon. In response to Jay-Z, Buzbee released a statement defending himself, saying Jane Doe's case was referred to him.
Y'all caught that. He said 1-800 lawyer, which means he's a paid bullshitter.
By another firm, where her story had allegedly already been vetted. Our client remains fiercely adamant that what she has stated is true to the best of her memory. We will continue to vet her claims and collect corroborating data to the extent it exists. Because we have interrogated her intensely, she has even agreed to submit to a polygraph. I've never had a client suggest that before. In the legal brief filed by Jay-Z's team advocating for the release of Jane Doe's name, they argued, for months, an extortionate campaign has been targeting this named defendant under cover of darkness. That campaign was cynical and calculated to force payment of an exorbitant sum of money. Defendant would have to pay X millions of dollars irrespective of truth or else.
Hate YouTube ads? You need this Chrome extension. I feel like I just found a Google cheat code. This Chrome extension.
When defendant refused to pay and instead took measures to establish his innocence, this unnamed plaintiff and her self-promoting counsel, whose name has been splashed across headlines and press conferences under auspices of representing her, went to extraordinary lengths to shut down fair defense. But those efforts too failed. Now at last, the false, unfounded allegations that underlie this campaign of extortion are having judicial light shined on them, except that this plaintiff is bringing them as a doe who would continue to hide under cover of darkness. And included in this brief is a preservation order suggesting Jane Doe's attorney, Tony Buzbee, would potentially go as far as to destroy critical evidence in the case. That memorandum in support of that motion reads, "The fundamental inconsistencies in plaintiff's case revealed in the NBC interview, coupled with Buzbee's chronic inability to follow the rules in this case and others, creates a substantial risk that Buzbee will destroy evidence damaging to plaintiff's case, including evidence of his own misconduct." But the judge issued a fierce ruling against the defense and even chastised Jay-Z's attorney. In her ruling, she determined that Jane Doe can remain anonymous in her weighing of several key factors, including 1, whether the litigation involves matters that are highly sensitive and of a personal nature. 2, identification possesses a risk of retaliatory physical or mental harm to the party seeking to proceed anonymously, or even more critically, to innocent non-parties. Under number 4, whether the plaintiff is particularly vulnerable to the possible harms of disclosure, particularly in light of her age. Under number 7, whether the plaintiff's identity has thus far been kept confidential. While the judge acknowledged that keeping Jane Doe's identity anonymous could create challenges for the defendants in terms of gathering evidence, she ruled that the factors in favor of anonymity outweighed those against it, at least for now. The judge also clarified that the decision could be revisited at a later stage in the case. In addition to ruling in Jane Doe's favor, the judge also took a swipe at Jay-Z's attorneys, saying that they have, quote, submitted a litany of letters and motions attempting to impugn the character of plaintiff's lawyer, many of them expounding on the purported urgency of this case. Carter's lawyer's relentless filing of combative motions containing inflammatory language and ad hominem attacks is inappropriate, a waste of judicial resources, and a tactic unlikely to benefit his client. The court will not fast-track the judicial process merely because counsel demands it. As the legal battle rages on, the outcome remains uncertain. But one thing is clear, Jay-Z's team is pulling out all the stops to get his name off that suit or toss it all together. Well, I don't imagine this heated legal battle will be slowing down anytime soon, but I want to bring on now criminal defense attorney Mauricio Padilla to get his take on this latest court filing. Mauricio, thank you so much for being here and Happy New Year to you.
We're going to stop that right there. But yeah, my main thing about all this is Jay-Z gonna beat this because she already done sit here and said that she done messed up. Let me go ahead and get this on up off of here. Yeah, she already done sit here and said that she done messed up. She already done sit here and said that the case is already done. It's over. She done messed up her story twice. And now Jay-Z them is just fighting to get this case done. And to me, Jay-Z them gonna win this. That's just my opinion. It's my opinion. I'm not saying this is true. I'm not saying these are facts. I'm just saying for what I know from the research that I pulled up, that Jay-Z gonna win this. I'm just saying. Rude dog, I'm out of here. Yeah.